we were invited, RPF, to go to Paris. We were supposed to meet some people from Habyarimana's government. It was about, according to what we were told, to talk about peace. In fact, the RPF for which I was chairman, vice chairman then, insisted I should not go. Because they are saying, you know, with all these things happening, and that was 91 September. Was it 91 or 92? 91 September.
The end of 91.
Eh?
The end of 91.
Yes, it was particularly, I remember, 71 September, I think it was 22nd. So the people insisted I should not go because there was chaos, they even thought they were worried about my security and so on and so forth. So, but I insisted, I told our people in a meeting, which was very people, I said, you know, if we don't go, and they, by the way, they insisted I should be the one to come. But I said, no, but you have the chairman, so maybe you should be the one to come. He said, no, we want you. And that's what caused some worry for our people. They said I shouldn't go. But I insisted. I said, I'm going. Because if I don't go, if we don't show up, we will never be understood. They think we are just there fighting and we don't want peace. So I went there. A couple of things, quickly, I got something else. When we arrived, we had a meeting. It was in the morning. I met a couple of people. One was a man who was, I think, a Director General in Foreign Affairs in France. That man was called Paul de. I followed him. He later on became ambassador to Mexico, then went somewhere, and then he's now an old man like me. He's 90, must be 90 something, 96 or something. So when we met, I met him, I met Mitterrand's son. I was almost beaten up for not pronouncing the name well. I'll tell you that. So in the meeting, this man, Paul Dejoux, kept poking his finger in my face and said, you must stop fighting. So I tried to explain. I said, you see, it's not that we enjoy fighting. We are not fighting just because we like fighting. we are fighting because I went into the history and so on. So he insisted again. Then in the conversation, it got heated up. I actually got a little bit upset. I answered back in a way. Then he said, no, you must stop fighting, because if you don't, you know, even if you take Kigali, you will not find your people. This is what he told him in a meeting. So at first I couldn't understand, I didn't understand what this man meant. You will not find your people. But directly it meant they will be killed. So anyway, the meeting happened, got finished. It was not a good meeting. And as we were going out, he accompanied us in the corridor, and then he said, Hope to meet you next time but he was being sarcastic. When you are the commander of the new army of Rwanda. I said, yes, sir. I said, if and when that happens, you rest assured I will do a good job of it. This is what I told him. So I went, when I was supposed to stay a night and leave the next day, so in the hotel where I was sleeping, I think we were in Hilton Hotel. I was with Ndahiro and Tom Byabagamba. So in the middle of the night at around 4 a.m., I woke up to this light in the room and about 6, 7 people in the room with guns. They were not putting on uniform, they were putting on jackets and so on and so forth. So, and I woke up, I said, who are you? What's going on? Then one of them said, he spoke in English. You hear him, he's even speaking English. So I was in the wrong place, first of all. Then they said, so say, where are your documents? Bring your briefcase. Before I opened it, they had broken it. So I kept asking, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Then as I was doing that, when I looked through the door connecting to the room where Dr. Ndahiro and Tom Byabagamba were staying, I saw they were sitting down in handcuffs. For me, they didn't put me in handcuffs. So I asked people, I said, what is going on? They, a bit rough, but so they took us, dumped us somewhere in prison. I didn't know. It was my first time to be in Paris, and my first time to be in prison. So, hopefully the last. Since that time, I haven't been to any other prison. So they put us in the log, somewhere down in the basement of some building, and left us there. Then later on, people showed up around 3 o'clock. In fact, why I remember that because Bagera was around, they didn't know where we had been taken. I don't know how. They were assisted by some people in France whom they knew. Then we saw Jacques Rabunal and because Bagera. There was a very good friend of ours called Carbonal, a French guy. They showed up in that basement in your prison because I think they had known where we were and they had tried to give us food. I refused to eat. I told them I'm not going to eat anything in that prison. So they brought us bread, I remember, and milk, pints of milk and bread for us because we had refused to eat prison food. Then they even wanted to interrogate us. Well, they did. They wanted to to use a polygraph on me, the lie detector. I refused. I told them I'm not going to have a lie detector at all. I said, if they want to kill me there, let them go ahead. In the end, they say, whom did you meet? I I mentioned that man, Paul de Jouy. Then he said, who else? I said, Christopher Mitterrand. He said, no. Who told you he's called Jacques Christopher Mitterrand? So, so they told me, repeat. I said, no, I'm not going to repeat. I said, I'm not the one who gave him his names. So anyway, in the end, in the night around 8 o'clock, they released us, and that night I left. I drove from Paris to Brussels, where I was to take a plane the next day and come back home.